everyone, and welcome back to the Coach David Gran Turismo channel. I'm Martin Grady, otherwise known as Tishney, and once again, we're going to go through this week's daily races, sharing all the quick tips, the details, and also setups that we need for this week's daily racing. First up then, we are heading to Gran, which we haven't been to too often, and we are in an absolute legendary car, the Subaru Impreza 22B. Now, you do need to tune this car. It's 315 brake horsepower and 1,270 kilograms in terms of weight. So you can do what you like in terms of buying items and setting up the car. We'll go through the setup at the very end, but first off, let's jump into this lap. Let's go for a slow lap, into a quick lap, and then I'll give you the details of that setup. So here we are, just going around the last corner right now, about to head across the start-finish line as we head towards turn number 1. Now, we'll start to slow this down right here, where we have two marshals and also this concrete bit here. So I use the concrete, so it's just to the left of that white line right there. That is what I use as a brake marker, so I want to brake just before I get to that. You can use the marshals if you wish as well as a bit of a distance marker. Now, for this corner, I always found it a bit too easy to outbrake myself if I tried to just brake that a little bit later. Because it's downhill as well, you do have to be careful. So, brake a little bit earlier, brake where I've just mentioned there, and I want you to go down to first gear. Now, the critical part of this is, it's all hairpins. So you need to keep it nice and tight. So, we're hard on the brakes right now. We're going to come down to first gear. Watch what I do when I get to first gear. I start to release the brakes. And I'm really trying to turn this car now. I'm doing this with the car. And then go up to second and then accelerate out of the corner. And instantly, as I remove my head, on the left-hand side, have another concrete thing that I can look at as a brake marker. Now, this corner, I want it to be even tighter than the corner we've just done. The reason for that is that you just want to accelerate out of this corner as quick as possible. The quickest way to get around it, and you can see the sort of banking on the corner, is to be as tight as possible and then just straighten up on the exit. So that's my goal here. So I'm going to drop to first gear, which I've just done. I'm literally going to chuck the car left as hard as I can to get that weight to shift in this car, okay? And you can see what I'm doing right now. Even trail braking there a little bit, and then we go up to second gear to accelerate out. First gear, I just felt I had a bit too much wheel spin. If I short shift to second gear on the exit, I could just go. And that's what I did right there. So we're going to approach the same brake markers that we effectively used for turn number 1, okay? So we've got the marshal, or what I use, the concrete there to the left of the white line. So as I get to this moment in time, I'm then going to look to brake. This time, though, I'm not going to go down to first gear. I'm going to keep it in second gear. Now, the reason for that is this is a slightly wider hairpin. It's not as tight as the others. So you don't want to go to first gear too much, but you are still trying to rotate the car as best as you can. What you're going to see in the middle of the corner is me go on and off the throttle. The reason I do that is literally just to try and get the car around. So I'm hard on the brakes right now, down to second gear. I'm still on the brakes, still on the brakes, still on the brakes. I release the brakes and no set, on and off the throttle. That's to try and get the rear to rotate. And I'll talk about that in the setup. Because the way I've set up the car, doing that will rotate the car. And that's all I'm trying to do. So we approach this point here. We have a marshal on the left-hand side, okay? Now, this is a marker I don't really use, but it's something I want to point out there that you can use as a brake marker. So when he hits the edge of the screen, or they hit the edge of the screen, I want you to then hit the brakes. Now, what I want you to do is slide the car into this corner, but don't go too tight too soon. So you're going to see me sort of stay on the left lane, but in the middle of that left lane a little bit, you know, just sort of middle of the road approach. And you're going to see me now try and get the car turned in. And as I get to the compression right here, that's when I really want to accelerate. Be careful about cutting the track a little bit on the exit there. If you cut it too much, you're going to get a penalty, and you do have to be careful of that. However, we've been aggressive. We attacked that corner, and we've exited here with a good sector time then. So we're about to approach a corner, which effectively is a double apex corner. Once again, we're using some marshals. The marshal posts are in perfect places here at Gran. So you can do this two ways. You can do it the really aggressive way, which is sliding into this corner, or you can go with a more standard way, which is what I'm going to do on this particular lap. I tried both. They're about the same, to be honest with you. It just depends how you approach it and your driving style. So, these marshals are your brake marker. I want you to point towards the corner and then go on the brakes. Now, if you're going full aggressive, you're going to get right on the inside and just get the sliding to go out. But you are going to venture to the outside of the corner to then come back. It's a double apex corner. Let's hear how I go in here. I missed the inside a little bit here, but notice I'm trail braking. I drop down to second gear. I'm just trying to get the car rotated. Now, there's a car park on the inside there. Not that you really care about it. But the entrance, you do care about, because this is your accelerating marker. You see this, you then want to start accelerating, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So, I'm in second gear. I'm going to short shift to third gear, to be honest with you, quite quick, because I really just want to get the car around. And arguably, this car does like a short shift. It really does. So, my setup doesn't correlate with that a little bit, but there are improvements to the setup. It'll just give you a really good base. So I'm seeing the entrance there. I'm going to start accelerating. And what I want to do there, short shift to third gear as I've done. And then I can continue through the corner. Notice the car is just sticking nicely and I can accelerate around the corner. Now we've got a little bit of an acceleration period right here. We're going to stick towards the left-hand side. Just make sure you don't clip the wall. You don't want to lose time by clipping a wall on that inside. You don't have to be exactly on top of it, but just follow the white line like I'm doing right now. This time here we go over crest, and we're going to head into a compression. Now this compression I use as my lift-off turning marker, but you can also use what I've highlighted right there, which is the pit exit here at Eiger Nordwand. So once that hits the edge of your screen, I want you to lift off and turn in. Now, arguably, you want to aim for the wall and then hope you get a bit of understeer. And you should get a little bit of understeer, to be honest with you, with this car. Especially if you start to then try and accelerate just to force it a bit more. So, as I get to this point here, you can see the compression. That's what I'm aiming for really here. I'm going to lift off, turn in. Now, you can drop a gear. It depends how you set up your gearbox. Obviously, how you do it. And I'll explain what I've done with my gearbox shortly. But fourth gear there, I continue on through. Quite an easy corner to understeer a bit too much and head out really wide. And then you're going to compromise this left-hander. Again, I'm going to short shift to fifth gear now because it is a little bit quicker as we head towards the final corner. Now, the final corner is a double apex corner. It's literally the same as the long right-hander, but a bit tighter. So, we're going to brake in a straight line. Notice how I've highlighted the concrete there. I'm going to brake before I get to that point. You could try and really be last of the late brakers here because you're braking uphill. So, gravity will help you slow the car down. And it will help the aggression, but you'll just go in a bit more sideways and arguably you might go a bit too wide. Again, give it a try. Depends on your setup. So on this one, I just want to brake in a straight line. You get 100% braking efficiency in a straight line. So go in a straight line. And notice what I'm going to do right now. Hard on the brakes. Now, as I get towards the inside here, the apex, I then come off the brakes a little bit because I want the car to rotate. So I'm just trail braking. I dropped to second gear. I'm going to go for the second apex now. And I need to short shift to third gear. There we go. Now, you have to be careful on the exit here about running a bit too wide there and actually getting a track limit penalty and invalidating your lap and your next one as well, which would just really suck. That's the 106.258 now. Let's go into a fast lap. Remember, marshals ought to start the concrete there. We hit the brakes. Going to drop down to first gear. Start to release the brakes. Just really yank the car right. Accelerate, then hit the brakes first gear. Get it nice and tight. Get it round. Short shift to second gear. Start to accelerate. Straighten up the car as quick as you can. Over towards left side. Start the concrete again. We hit the brakes. Second gear this time. Not going to first gear. Trying it on and off the throttle. Get the car round. Marshal then. We can brake. Turn in. Be aggressive on the throttle there. Accelerate through the corner. You saw how much oversteer I got there. It just helped the compression then to accelerate out the corner. Looking for the marshals on the left-hand side. There they are. We're going to just go in a nice standard way here. Trail braking all the way through. Drop to second gear. We're going to short shift to third gear. The car park entrance there is a good accelerator marker. Definitely use that if you're after a bit of guidance with accelerating. So we're going to accelerate here. Over the crest and into the dip is what we're going to do. Then we're going to lift off, turn in, and then we're looking to just carry as much speed as we can. Head over towards the left side. Short shift to fifth gear then as we head towards the final braking marker, which is just before the concrete on the left. We're going to hit the brakes, brake in a straight line, start to release the brakes. Just trail brake a little bit here, down second. Then we need short shift to third gear and make sure you don't run too wide at the exit. Once again, that's a 106.2. Let's now jump into the setup then, because the setup is where some of the magic happens here. And I've used some of other people's, but a part of this is my own as well. So downforce 220 versus 54. You do have to change and add parts in terms of the wings to do that. Body height adjustment is the big part here because I'm using 9170. The point of that is to make it pointy. The more pointy it is, the more it will rotate around the corners, which is the goal and what I talked about in terms of the hairpins. Top speed has been adjusted to 200. I've done nothing else with the transmission. Lots of time to be gained there with the transmission if you are good with the gearbox. So just keep that in mind. We go to the other side of the screen so you can see what I've installed here. Stroke up, engine balance tuning. You can see all that on the right hand side of the engine tuning. And then I've added all the stuff there, the racing stuff, which can be taken off if you so choose. Brake balance was also at 5 there that you can see on that left hand side. So that's everything I've installed. You can follow that. Weight reduction, only one of them, not 2 or 3, because otherwise you can't enter. Let's jump into Delta then. I'm going to compare myself against rank 1 and see where I'm losing some time. So the fastest lap in the world right now is literally half a tenth quicker than me. That's all it is. However, this may work out to be bigger differences in certain places, depending on the setup they use versus mine, or potentially the gearbox. I reckon the gearbox is the biggest place I can make gains, but let's find out if that's the case. This is what Delta's all about. We can find out this information. This is what it's good for. So notice here, we're already starting on the back foot here as we head down here. Do we lose any time? Not really. That time stays about the same then, and then we're going to go on the brakes. Now we're on the brakes first as we go into here, and as we go round, then we are not losing that much time. Oh, sorry, we've gone a bit too far there. As we go around here. So we're actually up. We're doing these hairpins really good indeed. So we're up there. As we go to the next hairpin, we don't lose any time. In fact, we come out of all the hairpins up. So our setup is pretty good, to be honest with you, in terms of making the car pointy. We've just seen that right here. So we're going to continue now towards the right-hander. It does look like we are losing a little bit of time here. Notice that we're 800ths up, but then as we get to here, we're 500ths. So there's definitely an issue there in terms of speed. And you can see that as well. We're 111.4 versus 112.9. And as we left that corner, yeah, we're literally nearly identical. A little bit down, but nothing major. So that gap increases. So we do have some gearbox issues here. So we've got more time in this lap just from changing that gearbox. Right, let's head in towards this right-hander then. So we get to this corner about 300ths up. We're going to leave the corner even. Right, so we are losing some time here. As we go through this corner, so we on the exit, we're 1 mile an hour difference, but we get to here, we're still 1 mile an hour difference, to be fair. That gap is slowly starting to increase though. So definitely towards the higher speeds, I'm losing more time. And you can see that here because we leave here 100th down and we get to here, we're nearly a 10th down there. So we do need to improve the gearbox. That is one thing. So my setup, in my opinion, works really well. And we're seeing that with Delta. I just need to work out the gearbox. If you are a gearbox master, though, you may be able to use my setup, your own gearbox settings, and actually get rank 1 in the world. How about that? So we go through here. We gain a little bit of time. We get towards the final corner, and we do gain a little bit there. We just do that a little bit better. So on all the corners, we're better. Straight line speed, we're down. And we've just seen that here with Delta. So that is an area of improvement that I need to look at. And hopefully this has been of use to you. Make sure the car is pointy. You've just seen how well it handles in Sector 1 there by the fact that we just gained time throughout this whole sector because our car setup is pretty good. I'd say so. That's going to be it for Daily Race A then. For Daily Race B, we're going to head to Watkins Glen and we are in Group 4 Machinery. So here we are on the start-finish straight, and I'm in the GT by Citroen Group 4 race car. As you can see, +5 brake balance in this car, if you're wondering what brake balance I'm actually using. We're already at turn 1 then, so on the left-hand side, we've got the the Armco, which goes from 4 to 3 in terms of height. You can see that on the left-hand side, so that is a good brake marker. I, however, am using the 200 board. So obviously, a few months ago, Group 4 got a bit of a nerf in terms of the power that Group 4 cars have. They've been dropped by like 100 horsepower. So you don't have a lot of power. So you're not carrying as much speed. However, your braking performance is still the same. So I used the 200 board there. I hit the brakes. I dropped to third gear. I start to release the brakes. And what I'm trying to do is clip the inside. Now, on the inside, the curb raises. So it's sort of like that and then goes up a bit. You're trying not to hit the up bit, but get as close to it as possible as you go through there. Now, as you accelerate through there, the Citroen will just rotate a little bit, and we've just arrived at this point here. So you can see, it looks like I'm invalidating my lap, but I'm not. I'm on the curb just with my right wheels. As long as I'm on the curb with my right wheels, track is valid, the lap is valid, we can continue on through, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We'll put it on 100% now because this bit is just flat out all the way up the hill. And your whole idea of turn 1 is to carry as much speed as possible to get all the way to the bus stop chicane. The more speed you carry through turn 1, the faster your lap will be. And it's a significant corner, turn 1. You do need to get it right. So just make sure you do use all of the track that is available to you, okay? So we're going to head towards the next brake marker then, which is on the left-hand side. So we've got the 300s, which you can use there, the 300 on the Armco or the one next to the track. Alternatively, you can use the Marshall box. Now, again, we're not carrying a lot of speed here in Group 4, so you can brake last of the late breakers, essentially. And what we're going to do is we're going to head towards the right-hand side, bus stop chicane. So basically, it's a chicane right and then a chicane left. That's what we're looking for. I want you to use all of the curb on the inside here. I want you to drop to 5th gear. Now, the reason for that is we're trying to just straight line this as much as possible. So the idea here is to get as far right to give you a better angle. And that's what I'm going to try and do. Now, I'm going to do this slightly wrong. So as I go over here, the car gets a bit of a bounce on and I get a bit sideways, which fortunately I managed to catch and continue on. That cost me 1/10 of a second. You do not want that slide. It looks good. It's not fast. So just be careful of that. But if you don't get that weird bounce, you can just accelerate all the way through there like I did in 5th gear. And actually, you can carry a lot of speed. So we've approached this marker here. This is a lift-off marker, but I want you to just dab the brakes a little bit. I did try lift off constantly throughout this corner, but it's just a bit slower because you're just waiting for the car to slow down. So it's actually better to just dab the brakes a little bit as you go through this corner, just to make sure the car is slowed down enough and gets on the inside. So that's what I'm going to do right now. The start of the curve there is the marker on the right side. So I'm accelerating, lift off, dab the brake there. Notice a dab, I dab the brake again. I'm just slowing the car down. Now, as we get to this point here, we've got an escape road on the right hand side, or you've got the I Love New York Marshall box in the distance. Arguably, that's a bit too late to go on the throttle, but it's a really good marker if you're looking around the corner and you've missed the escape road. I use the escape road here, so I'm going to accelerate full power at this moment in time. I clip the curb on the inside, which will rotate the car just a tiny bit, which will allow you to get round the corner. And that's the critical part of this, getting the tiniest bit of rotation. And there is a little trick you can do in this Citroen that we're going to talk about on the next few corners. However, you can see the escape road there. We're accelerating through. Notice here the Citroen does not understeer at all. It's why it's so good at this circuit, and we can continue on. Just make sure you're back on the circuit before that curb ends, otherwise you're getting a penalty. So we head over towards the right-hand side. Our next marker is a really obvious marker. It's a 200 board on the right-hand side. Literally, as that hits the edge of your screen, you're going to hit the brakes. Now, for this one, you don't want to follow the white line down the right-hand side. You want to aim towards the middle of the circuit as you go into this corner. You don't want to touch the inside curb like as soon as possible. You don't want to do that. You're aiming for a later apex. But if you're in the middle of the circuit, you can get the car rotated and then hit that late apex, which is what you're trying to do. So we're going to hit the brakes, aim for the middle of the circuit, hard on the brakes, and then we'll start to release the brakes quite quickly. And the reason for that is because we're going to be turning. There we go, release the brakes. We're in third gear right now. Notice now the car wants to turn in. We've still not clipped the inside apex yet. We've already started to accelerate. This is me being very aggressive on the throttle, and I can use the marker that I've highlighted right there as an acceleration marker. So we have this catch fence that goes all the way around this corner. The very end of it is there that I've highlighted to you. And literally, as that gets towards the center of your screen, plant your foot, accelerate out this corner. Now, if you do start to understeer, you don't get the rotation you want, don't worry. Just lift off a tiny bit. It's absolutely fine. Yes, you're going to lose a little bit of time, but it's not the end of the world, okay? So we use the end of that catch fence. Again, I lifted off a little bit there myself because I was worried, but I needed not worry because I was easily making this. Look at that. Nice and easy. We're going to head over towards the left-hand side because we have a very aggressive corner coming up, okay? Very aggressive right-handed corner. It's quite tight as well, but as we head here then, on the right side, we have the 100 and the Gran Turismo 7 sign. This is your brake marker. Why are you braking so late? Because we're going uphill. Gravity is going to help you slow down. As you go uphill, you're going to slow down quicker. So I want you to aim towards the inside, but don't touch the inside curb straight away. But you're going to get kind of close to it. Now, I talked about a trick in the Citroen with rotation. Second gear. Second gear is so useful in this car, and that's what we're going to use to get rotation in it. I'll explain when we get there, but the 100 board and the Gran Turismo 7 on the right. So I need to get a bit tighter than I did here because I'm a little bit wide right now. So I'm in second gear, and then up ahead, right in the center of the screen, our marshal box. That is your accelerating marker. So I'm accelerating in second gear. What's going to happen? Well, the car's going to want to rotate because we're really at the top end of the revs. But that's what we want. We want rotation. We want to reduce the understeer on these racing hard tires. So we accelerate in second. We'll then go to third gear. And what will happen is the rotation will just stop. And the car will then just keep turning as if it's just normal. And that's what we're trying to do here. So the second gear is very useful. It's a big tip that I need to put out there right now. It will help you massively. There we go. Third gear. The car now settles itself. And now we can just use all the circuits on the exit, which is our goal here as we continue on through. That's going to be the end of the sector. If you want a sector time, 110.7 right there. Now, arguably, I should be a tenth and a half up here based on the chicane. And obviously, my sector one was a bit bad compared to my previous lap. But it is what it is. There's more time there. And we'll see that in Delta as well, I'm sure. So we're going to head towards our next marker, which is on the left-hand side, this 200 board here. So you're going to brake after, not at it, after the 200 board leaves your screen on the left-hand side. Now, this corner, you can use second gear for rotation if you want. I found that it slowed me down a bit too much because I wanted to carry more speed. So I'm going to stay in third gear. However, if you are struggling with understeer, go to second. Now, I'm going to follow this white line a little bit longer here because I just want to go for a later apex. It's actually better to go for a later apex because the exit curb is a little bit narrow. It's a little bit too short in terms of if you run wide, you're going to get a penalty. So I stay out wide a bit longer. I then come in, go for the later apex. I clip the curb. I then start to accelerate. And watch this now on the exit. The curb here, look how thin that is. You don't want to run too wide there and invalidate your lap right at the end of the lap. That would be really, really, really annoying. We're going to accelerate up here then, and we have two markers. We've got the dead tree on the right, which is what I use, believe it or not, and the 100 board. The 100 board, as it hits the edge of your screen, is your brake marker, or as the dead tree leaves the screen. I prefer the dead tree. I don't know why. I'm a bit weird, but I prefer the dead tree. It's more obvious to me, and it's what I use in Group 3 as well. So for this one, I want you to turn towards the corner, but I want you to be more to the left of the middle, but not hitting the curb too early, okay? And the reason for that is we're going to use the second gear trick again here, just to get a little bit more rotation around. So you don't want to go out wide here. You want to keep it as I've done here, a bit to the left of the middle, I've gone to second gear, I start to accelerate. There's a marshal post there that you can use, if you so wish, as an accelerating marker. But notice that I did short shift a bit more in second gear to third, because on the exits, we're going uphill and it goes over a crest. If you stay at the maximum RPM, you're going to spin out, so just be careful of that. We approach our next marker then, which is on the left-hand side. It's the 100 board on the left-hand side. This is a turning marker, and then you're going to lift a little bit as you turn in. The reason for that is as you lift, obviously the car will rotate a little bit, and you do need a little bit of rotation to get around this corner. You are going to try and do it as quick as you can, though, and that is the goal. So the 100 board on the left-hand side, as that hits the edge of your screen, turn in. Once you've started to turn in, then lift off. And what you'll see is the car will just literally start to grip and turn through the corner. And that's our goal here. So that's what we're going to do now. So we turn in, we're going to lift off, we're going to clip the curb, and then we can start to accelerate. That's how you do that corner. We want to head over towards the left-hand side. You don't want to run wider than I have done there. Yes, you can, but you're not going to get to the left as quick as possible for the final corner, which arguably is going to cost you more time. So we've got the tyres into Armco on the left-hand side. This is your brake marker. Now, this is a dab of the brakes, and I want you to really get the car on the inside. This final corner is cambered, which means you want to get as far on the inside as possible to carry as much speed as possible. If you clip the curb, it will rotate the car that little bit more as well, so you get a double bonus here. If you run wide here, you're going to struggle. So you're going to dab the brakes at this moment in time. You're going to chuck the car in. You want to clip the curb. Arguably, as you get close to the curb, you can start to accelerate and really maximize that. And that's what I'm trying to do there. Notice there, clip the curb, accelerate through the corner. Just be careful on the exit, because it is possible to get a track limit penalty just after that curb there, where there's enough of a car-sized gap there or across the white line, and that will give you a penalty. That's a 54.6. Let's go to a fast lap then. Looking for that 200 board on the left-hand side. We're going to hit the brakes. Drop down to third gear. Start to release the brakes. Turn in. Remember, don't mount the curb. Just get as close to the high part as possible. Use all the width for the circuit. Making sure you stay on the curb. And then we can continue on through. We'll fast forward this bit and get to the bus stop chicane. Remember, looking for the 300 or the marshal box. It's entirely your choice. Drop down to fifth gear. Use all the track on the right. Then over towards the left-hand side. Cut that a little bit as I did there, but not get sideways. Start the curb on the right. Then we're going to slow the car down. Dabbing the brakes. Slowing the car down. Escape road there is our accelerating marker. Continue on through. Head over towards the right hand side. We're looking for the 200 board now. We can see it in the distance. We're well prepared for it. Hard on the brakes right now. Start to release the brakes. Late apex. End of the catch fence is our accelerator marker. Continue on through. Head over towards the left hand side. Looking for the 100 board on the right. We're going to drop to second gear for this corner. Looking to get on the inside as well as best as we can. A little bit tighter than we did here. Second gear. Marshal box is our accelerating marker there. We continue on through in third gear now. Heading up the hill. We can breathe a little bit knowing we've got just the last bit of this circuit to go then. So, on the left-hand side, there's going to be a 300 board. We're looking for the 200 board. After that disappears off screen, we hit the brakes. Later apex for this corner. Clip the curb. Start to accelerate. Be careful about running wide here. Head over towards the right-hand side. Remember, I use the dead tree. You have to be left of the middle here as you go on the brakes. That's what we're aiming for. Second gear, start to accelerate. Then short shift to third gear. Just be careful of the crest there. We continue on through. Looking for the 100 board on the left-hand side. We're going to turn in and then lift as we go through here. Clip the curb. Accelerate over towards the left-hand side. Tires to Armco on the left. We're going to hit the brakes. Fourth gear. Turn in, clip the curb on the inside, accelerate through the corner, head towards the line, and once again, that is a 154.6 in terms of lap time. Let's jump into Delta then, and let's see where I can improve that little bit more. Once again, I've loaded the fastest lap in the world then here in Delta, and that's a 154.4. So we're 2 tenths down on the fastest lap. So where is the 2 tenths? That is the question. My guess is going to be the chicane, I'll be honest with you, because we did have a massive slide there, and arguably, I feel I lost a 10.5 there straight away. We also saw that sector 1, I was 700ths down. So is sector 1 also an issue? I think it is as well. Let's find out then, because I think that's where the time is, and Delta's going to tell us that. So through turn 1 we go. We do lose a little bit of time through turn 1. Why is that? They're just carrying that bit more speed. 1 mile an hour more speed there. And I did say that in the guide. The more speed you carry through the corner, the quicker this whole section is going to be then as you get up there. And remember, I lost 700ths. We're not that far down on rank 1. So rank 1 still has time in this lap as well. Still has time in this lap. Because we're even at this moment in time as we get to the bus stop chicane. Now, the bus stop chicane, as we go into here then, we're on the brakes. We're going to go through this first part. We're carrying a bit less speed, actually, as we go into here. Now, is that a problem as we go through here? Let's have a look at the time lost. Oh, look at that. It's a 10.5. It's exactly what I thought it was as we went through there. We just did it wrong. The slide quite clearly there lost us a lot of time because we're look at that 6 miles an hour difference. It's huge. And that's all because we're sliding. We're sliding through the corner. We're not doing the corner properly. So that is something that we need to improve on there. And I know I could improve on that lap. So critically here, we've already seen 2 well, arguably 2.5 temps there in terms of lap time. That will put us rank 1 in the world. Rank 1 in the world. And you've seen how important it is here in terms of not sliding through the chicane. Anywhere else where we've lost a little bit of time then? So as we go through there, we actually gained a little bit of time as we got to this point here. So we did this corner very well indeed as we go through there. And then we get to this point here. We're carrying about the same speed. So we're 10th down right now. We're going to the left-hander. And we didn't lose any time there at all. Into the right-hander. And we did lose a little bit of time there. So coming on to the brakes here. Now, I did run a little bit wider. And I did talk about that in the lap guide as well. We are carrying a bit more speed here as well because of that wider line. Now, on the exit, we do lose a little bit of time there. Now, it's uphill, remember. Low horsepower cars in terms of Group 4. Uphill, we need to carry the speed there. So that's a place where I need to improve. Something where you can look at as well. Once again, Delta's showing us that information. 10.5 down now as we head into the right-hander. Oh, we actually lose a little bit of time here. Now, this is going to be interesting. Do they go down to second gear is the question. They do. So I did talk about that. I said, I don't feel you need to. Well, according to this, second gear is a little bit quicker as we go through that corner. Although on the exit, we're identical speed. So arguably, we just need to brake a little bit later. And that second gear is helping them out. Interesting. Something for me to try there. Something that you may want to try as well. The second gear trick works on that right-hander as well. We go to the left-hander then. Through there we go. We actually gain a little bit of time. So we do that corner very well indeed. Into the fast left. Do we lose any time here? 1.7. Yes, we lose a little bit of time there in terms of speed. So what's happening here in terms of speed? Yes, a few miles an hour difference. It then comes even again. Yes, we're nearly a mile an hour down there. So that is a little bit of time to be gained there. Through the final corner, we don't lose any time there. Really interesting stuff. So we saw there the chicane. I did call it out. I said a 10.5. Quite clearly a 10.5 here in Delta. I hadn't seen the time beforehand. I just know what my previous laps were like. Set to 1. I know there's some time there. But critically, second gear trick there on the right-hander at the start of sector 3 or 4, whatever it is. The last sector 3 it is. So at the start of sector 3, the right-hander here, second gear trick seems to work a little bit better there as well. So something for me to try and something for you to try as well. This is the awesome thing about Delta. We've just seen the advantages of Delta. The data showing us where we're losing time. That's going to be it for Daily Race B then. We're going to jump to Daily Race C now, where we're going to the mountain. Bathurst 12 hours happened recently. Well, we're doing it the Gran Turismo version. So we're just going through the last corner now of Bathurst, about to start a lap, plus 3 brake bounds in this 911 GT3R, which is a brand new car that is in Gran Turismo 7. We're going to head towards turn 1, and already we're pausing it at the first brake marker, which on the left-hand side here, we have the end of the pit building. This is my brake marker. I brake just before that disappears off the edge of my screen. Now, for this corner, there's a really harsh bump on the inside. So it's better to stay out wide and try and square this corner off to get a better acceleration out of the corner. And that is my advice for this corner. I, too often, when I was doing this lap this morning, turned in too early, ran wide because of the bump, or went on all unstable. So I stick towards the right-hand side. Hard on the brakes right now. Notice I'm staying out wide a bit longer. Then I'm turning in and I'm then going on the throttle, and I avoid that initial bump there, and I can straighten the car up. Now, arguably, I ran a bit wide there because I was a bit too aggressive on the throttle, but I still made it round fine. That actually did cost me a 10th of a second. We're going to see that when we get to this sector time, because it should be an 18.9. However, this is a 19.079, I think, from memory. There it is, as we head towards this right-hander then. Now, for this one, very obvious brake marker here. We've got tarmac into grass. Essentially, it's an escape road here, and you can see sort of the start of the barrier as well. Any part of this is your brake marker that you can use. Now, for this corner, you're going to go down to second gear, and you want to be aggressive on the inside. However, and this is critical to this corner, you do not want to touch the curb on the inside. If you touch the curb, you're going for a spin. You want to get as close as you can to it without touching it, okay? Just imagine it's like floor is lava, but curb is lava instead here. So we're going to go on the brakes now. We're going to trail brake in here, and we're going to drop to second gear. It's very aggressive. Now we're going to accelerate in second gear. The Porsche loves high revving because when it hits the high revs, it rotates. So we're in second gear. We go up to third gear, and we can continue on through now up the mountain here at Bathurst. So we're going to head towards the right side, then over towards the left on the kink, and we're going to keep our vision towards the left-hand side because we're looking for where this white line goes straight. You can see it curves and then goes straight. Now, as I see that, I'm then going to go on their brakes. Now, this is critical in the Porsche. It depends on the car, of course, but critical in the Porsche, you have to go to first gear. If you stay in second gear for this corner, you're going to understeer off. First gear is going to give it some rotation, and that is what you need. So I see when that line goes straight. You can just see it here on chase cam as well. I'm going to hit the brakes. Now, arguably, you want to trail brake here just to make sure the car is still turning. Remember, tires can only do 100% of something. 50% turning, 50% braking. That's hard on the brakes. I go to first gear, and as I release that, the car then turns. We go up to second gear for the exit. That's just for stability reasons. But we were hard on the brakes. The car was understeering. We release the brakes, go to first gear, the car turns in. That's exactly what we wanted, okay? You will gain so much time by going to first gear on that corner. I promise you that. Now we get to this point here. You're going, Tidge, this isn't a brake marker. It's not. This is your turning marker. So you've got a tree on the left and you have a tree on the right. Use either a tree. There's loads of help here. You're just going to turn in. This is a flat out corner. Arguably, the longer you stay in third gear, the more it will rotate. Similar philosophy to the previous corner. However, I think I short shift a little bit here into fourth gear, and that nearly caused me to go into the barrier. So just be careful about doing that, okay? Make sure you get the turn in first before you then change to fourth gear. I can't exactly remember what I do. Yeah, so notice that I got to fourth gear. The understeer starts to creep in. If I stayed in third gear a bit longer, I wouldn't have been as close to the wall. But I still didn't touch it, so it's still fine. We're going to head down this little bit then into the compression. We're up to fifth gear now. We turn left there. Don't turn in too early. If you mount the curb or go over it, you'll then go into the barrier. So just be careful of that. And we're going to approach this next bit right here. So you have this curb. I would highly advise you lift off before you get to this. I'm going to be a bit cheeky and aggressive here, and I'm going to lift off as I go to the crest of the hill. Fortunately, it comes off, obviously, because this is my fastest lap I've done so far. But it's better to just lift off a little bit earlier. What's happening here is as you accelerate, the front's lifted up, okay? So as you go over the crest of the hill, it's just going to take off. If you lift off, the front comes down, therefore you don't take off, the car could turn. The front wheels do the turning. If they're on the ground, they turn. If they're in the air, they don't turn. That's how you get understeer here. Just now we can continue on through, and I'm trying to get the car turned in very close to the barrier on the left-hand side. I'm going to keep going to the left now to try and maximize my angle of attack for this next section. This is such a hard section to get right, okay? So we've got to start the building on the right, or as the Audi R8 sign hits your rear view at the top. Now, you're going to only brake hard in a straight line. If you brake hard remotely as you're turning, you're going to spin off and crash here. So you can trail brake a little bit as you go down here, but only brake hard in a straight line. Otherwise, you're going to crash. Keep that in mind when we do this. You can see how I'm pointing the car right now. And that's to initially get some braking done to just bleed off a little bit of speed. So, here we go. So, trail brake a little bit. Now we can brake hard in a straight line. Release as we turn left. And then hard in a straight line again. Very critical you do it that way. If you do it any other way, more than likely you're going to spin off unless you're one of the best players in the world. Then, obviously, you can do a bit more trail braking and really start to amplify the speed down the hill. So, end of the curb on the right side for the dipper. You want to brake and turn before that curb disappears off the edge of your screen. You really want to cut the inside. If you cut it perfectly, you get a penalty, which is really annoying here at Bathurst, I will be honest with you. However, most of the time you won't cut it perfectly. You do want to cut the inside though as best as you can. You can see how if you go wide, you're just going to be literally long way round, slow, etc. Get on the inside. And notice that I go a little bit on throttle. That's to keep the car balanced. Now, as I go through here, because the car was a little bit wiggly, I clipped the curb. It really unsettled the car. Just be careful of that. I did catch it. We can continue now to Forest Elbow. We've got a black to white on the barrier on the right-hand side. This is a lift-off marker. Now, I'm not going to lift off straight away here. I'm going to be aggressive here because I'm just trying to get on the leaderboard, so you've got a ghost to follow. I highly advise most people here to lift off at this moment in time. The reason for that is you're just trying to make sure the car is in the right place for the Forest Elbow. If you attack this corner and get it wrong, you're going to be so slow down the back straight, it's incredible. It's better to just go slower for this corner and just have a really nice straight line speed coming out of Forest Elbow. So we're going to lift off and get as far right as possible, and then when you go in a straight line, hard on the brakes. Remember, don't turn and brake at the same time. We can then trail brake and turn a little bit, and now we're just trying to keep the car settled, and now we can accelerate out. Now, depending on the car will depend on the gear on the exit. You can be in higher gears on the exit of Forest Elbow because it's downhill. Gravity is going to pull you down into that power band that little bit quicker. So you may find that it's actually better to be in a higher gear for stability reasons, and then you'll end up in the power band that little bit quicker anyway. Just keep that in mind when you're doing that corner. We're going to head to the chase then as we go through the right-hander, flat out obviously. And on the right side, we've got sign event. It's just after the 150 board. I'm looking for the red S and the white S. That is my brake marker for this corner. Now, you don't want to turn in too early for this one because you'll clip the curb and bounce out wide and ruin your entire lap. You're 1 minute 40 in. You don't want to ruin this last little bit. So, I want you to brake and follow the white line on the right-hand side all the way down. It's only when you get down to second gear, that's when you're going to want to start to lift off the brakes and turn in. If you don't follow the white line and you try and turn in too early, you're going to run wide. I've said it twice now. That's what you want to do. So notice I'm following the white line. Third gear, second gear, starts to release brakes. We then turn in. Just touch the curb. Don't mount it, touch it. If you mount it, you're going flying. Be careful on the exit on the right there, though, because you can clip the grass and just veer off. My very best lap, which was 2.5 tenths quicker than this one, I ruined it by clipping the grass on the right-hand side. So just be very careful there. Our final brake marker here at Bathurst is an infamous one because it's in every single game you play. ACC, iRacing, here in Gran Turismo 7. The big tree on the right. Really obvious, clear brake marker here for the final corner. Now, in the Porsche 911 GT3R on rated soft tyres, you're braking after that disappears off the edge of your screen on the right-hand side, okay? After it disappears. So, it'll disappear. You're then going to go on the brakes. Do not turn in too early for this one. Similar to the previous corner, if you mount the curb, you're going to spin off. You want to square this corner off as best as you can. We're going to drop down to second gear again for stability reasons here. So down to second gear. Notice how we stay out wide here. Then we turn in and then we can start to accelerate because we've missed the bump and the curb on the inside. It's much more stable on the exit. We can then head towards the line. This is a 2-minute 0.6 lap, and what we're going to do now is go into the quick version of that lap. So remember, the end of the pit building on the left-hand side is our brake marker. Hit the brakes, second gear, turn in. Make sure you turn in a bit later, and just be careful on the exit there about running too wide. Right, we're going to continue on down now towards the right-hander. Remember the escape road on the left? As it goes to grass, we're going to hit the brakes. Don't touch the curb, but get close to it. Second gear, up to third gear. Continue on through. Head over towards the right-hand side. Remember, the next brake marker is when the white line goes straight. We're going to turn in, lift off a little bit if you need to. Where's the white line? Go straight. There it is. Hit the brakes. First gear. Make sure you go to first gear. Accelerate, though, in second gear for stability reasons. Continue on through. We have 2 trees, left and right. They're your turning markers. Turn in. Stay in third gear a bit longer, and the car will rotate just that little bit better. We continue on through. Down towards the compression, up to fifth gear. Turn in. Don't turn in too early, though. Clip the curb. Continue on through. Before we get to the curb now, lift off, turn in, then go on throttle. The car will remain stable. You'll be able to go through. Over towards left hand side. Add your 8 sign, hit the rear view. Hard on the brakes in a straight line. Release. Hard on the brakes in a straight line. Release. End of the curb on the right. Dab the brakes. Chuck it in. Clip the dipper. Continue on through. Be careful about oversteer. We managed to catch it. Continue on through. Black to white there. Lift off. Turn in. Hard on the brakes in a straight line. Start to release the brakes now. Get the nice tight line. Start to accelerate through the corner. And now you can breathe as we head towards the chase. We'll fast forward this little bit, of course, because it's just flat out. So we're going to head towards the right-hander there, and through we go, looking for the red S. There it is. We're going to hit the brakes, follow the white line, start to release the brakes when you get to second gear. Just kiss the curb. Don't mount it. We continue on through and head over towards the right side. That sounds so wrong, doesn't it? Look for the big tree on the right side. There it is. As it disappears, we're going to hit the brakes, stay towards the right, and then turn in, square the corner off, accelerate towards the line, and once again, that's a 2-minute 0.6. We're going to jump to Delta then because some people have done this very quickly, and I want to know where I can improve. So I've loaded the very best Porsche 911 GT3 lap that is on the leaderboard right now. It's the 159.9, a superb lap there by, I think it's a French driver called David. Don't quote me on that one, though, apologies. But I'm 7 tenths off. I've got to find significant time here. Now, I know where there's going to be a couple of attempts because I talked about turn 1 being the 10th down. I know, obviously, I had that little bit of a wiggle down at the dipper as well. That's going to cost me some time. But still, 7 attempts. Let's find out where we're losing that time then. So we're going to head towards turn number 1 then. On the brakes we go. So a little bit down there as we go into turn 1. And on the exit, yes, we're down. But I talked about that in the lap. Very obvious why I'm down there. I just ran a little bit too wide there. As we go through the corner, they're carrying a bit more speed. On the exit then, I tried to carry a bit too much speed, and that's why I've ran wide. And then as we go down here, I'm going to lose a bit more time. So 10.5 down there. We know that. That is where we can improve. Right, let's go into the mountain then, the mountain section. So on the brakes we go. Oh, we lose quite a bit of time on this corner here, actually. So we're going to hit the brakes a little bit too early compared to that driver there. As we go into the corner, we're just a little bit down. We've been down throughout the entirety of it. On the exits, we're even on the exit in terms of speed. So it's literally just the entrance. I just need to carry a bit more speed. Be aggressive. Remember, it's all about getting the car turned in there. So once you're in second gear, you can start to accelerate. They've just hit the brakes a bit later and carried a bit more speed. So I'm 2.5 tenths down before I've even got into the complex section. So there's a lot of time there to be had in terms of this lap. So we're going to head towards this left-hander. Do we lose time here? Yes. Now this is a corner which is very easy to lose time on. Remember, I said go down to first gear. Do they go down to first gear? Yes, they do. Notice how much speed they're carrying versus myself. So they're just using the first gear rotation to carry that more speed through the corner, which is really interesting to see. Very hard to do, though. So I wouldn't focus your efforts there. You saw where I've lost 2.5 tenths before I even get to the mountain. I wouldn't focus your efforts on this corner. I really wouldn't, because it's very easy to lose so much time just by getting it slightly wrong there. And if you're trying to push the limits, you're just going to ruin laps every single time. It's better to be 90% consistent in terms of that corner just to make sure you get the rest of the lap right, in my opinion. We're going to head up the mountain now then. Through there we go. Obviously, we're matching speed here, so there's nothing to really worry about. I'm going to head to the fast left now as we go through there. Lose a little bit of time there. So, arguably, I could carry a bit more speed as we go through there. Yeah, so 2 miles an hour difference. Significant in terms of that one. Now, we're going to get to the downhill section of the mountain. So, as we go through here then, are we losing much time? Not losing that much time, to be fair. We do it fairly well, to be honest with you. We're going to get to this part here, okay? So, we've not lost that much time. And then this is where the wiggle happens. How much time does that cost us? Look how much time that costs us. That costs us 0.2 of a second. Don't get the wiggle. That'll be absolutely fine. The dipper is really hard in an MR car, though, to be fair. So, obviously, I just need to improve there. But it's very significant that in terms of my wiggle, it cost me so much time. So, we're seeing quite a significant amount of time there. And I did say I was 2 temps down at the next sector point. Arguably, I was a bit more down on my very best looking at this one. So, we're, what, half a second? 5.5 temps down there as we go through there. We're still 5.5 temps down. We lose a little bit there. Nothing crazy there. Need to carry a bit more speed, but that is a place where I would focus, to be honest with you, because it's very easy to get it wrong and you have this long acceleration period. Yes, I lose half a tenth per second there. Is it the end of the world for me? No. It is a place I'd recommend you focus on, though, because it's very easy to gain time by just putting your foot to the floor. Right, we're going to head towards the left-hander then. So as we go to here, 6.5 temps down. We leave that corner. We actually do that a little bit better. Again, nothing major there in terms of that one. We are actually carrying a bit more speed. As we get to the last corner then, we lose a little bit of time. Again, nothing major there. So the critical parts for me that I'm seeing in Delta and how I'm reading this, okay. Obviously, turn 1, I talked about that one. I ran a bit too wide. This right-hander needs to be a bit more aggressive. I lose time into this corner here. This is the sharp left where the white line goes straight. Very hard to get right, that one. They've done that very well indeed. Fair play to them on that lap. Not a place I would focus my efforts on. The places I would focus my efforts on, if I was you, is going to be Sector 1, and then as you head up the mountain, and then as you come down the mountain, trying to get this right. You can see the amount of time there that you can gain very quickly, or the amount of time you can lose by getting it wrong. They're the 2 places I would focus on, and that has been Delta. That's also been me, Martin Grady, otherwise known as Tishney, here for Coach Dave Academy and the Gran Turismo channel here for Coach Dave. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure you give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and leave any questions down in the comments as well if you do have them. A big thank you for watching as always. We really do appreciate the support. Hopefully these weekly race guides are helping you out and your DR is improving on Gran Turismo 7. We hope once again to see you next week for more weekly race guides and hopefully helping you improve that DR that little bit more.